Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So, I'm filming this on the eve of the partial solar eclipse, which is happening tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning in Aries. And I didn't think I was going to come on here again until after the eclipse, but we had an X flare this morning kind of out of the blue because the sunspot that it came from hadn't showed up on the, we hadn't detected it yet. It's like the X flare came as soon as it came around the corner. And so, yeah, I just always get really jazzed up by the X flare energy, and it feels really auspicious that we're having this at the same time as this next eclipse, this solar eclipse, and then of course Neptune going into Aries tomorrow. We have Mercury and Venus, and of course the Sun in Aries as well, and then the eclipses in Aries also. So a lot of like really fiery energy. What I love about the X flares is that they chunk things off, and this is what I've been feeling from the last eclipse that we had, the lunar eclipse on the 14th, was just that there was so much that was coming up to be released. And so like for me, it came through with a lot of realizations and this has continued like up until this morning. It's like it's been this long stretch about 5 days before the last eclipse, and then during the eclipse, and then the whole way through up until now, just for me, and I think for others as well, just like everything that we need to let go of, everything that's not in alignment with our larger selves. This was coming up in that last reading with that whale energy and that ocean energy. Everything that's not in alignment with the truth of who we are is coming up to be examined and to be sifted through. And with the eclipses, you don't really have a choice. It's just kind of in your face. And so that can be kind of overwhelming, especially if it's things that we don't want to look at or things that we've been avoiding. Um, yeah, but for me, it's like it's just being able to see so deeply. So that was coming up in the last reading as well, being able to see 360 with the Six of Swords coming up, where all of a sudden you can see. And so that was coming up. I guess it was a week ago. I think it was only a week ago that I did that reading. I can't remember. Maybe it was more than that. But yeah, just this being able to see 360, and once we had that view, that clear view, things were going to start to move. Okay, so I feel like we're still in that like seeing of what's going on, and just being able to see the patterns and being able to see the threads between everything, where it's just this huge unveiling. And I don't know how you're feeling that personally. For me, it's very, very personal, and it's in it's in areas of my life that I've sort of struggled with, all along, and just again, the unveiling, of course, that's happening in our world as well. But I'm so distracted by what's going on internally that I've kind of dropped the world for a while. Like I just keep going into nature. Like I have to just keep going into nature because there's just sort of this overwhelming undercurrent in the energy and within myself. And when I go into nature, I can clear and I can heal. And that's actually something that I have really been feeling and having a lot of guidance about, going in not only to ground. It's not just because it's always like that. If we're feeling dysregulated, get into nature because nature has truth codes, and nature aligns us, and but there's something really different coming through for me right now that's around the relationship between us and the earth, and how we need the earth, we need Gaia, and Gaia needs us. And something very particular about going into nature, not just to help ourselves, but to help earth and to help and when I say earth, if we say Gaia, it's like the invisible, the elemental, the intelligence that's behind, not just going and appreciating the sensual pleasures of nature, the beauty, the water, the feel, all of that. But what that does when we tap into our senses, it connects us to the deeper energetics behind in nature. And so what I'm discovering, and this happened for me when I was out in this really, really interesting spot. It's about 7 miles in, and if you're watching on Facebook, then you might have seen the post that I made about this particular location, where it's 7 miles in down this dirt forest road, and I hardly ever go there because it's sometimes the road is really awful, and but this time it was okay, and so you go down there, and it's called Sheep's Corral. So I don't know the whole history of this area, but I know there used to be sheep there, and it's running along a creek. The creek was dry this time, but there's just something really like weird about the energy. And I don't know if it's just so far back. It's weird because it's really far back in, but there's also an imprint of the history there of the animals. But it has it has a strange feeling, and I can't really identify what it is. It almost feels like a portal feeling, like where the elemental activity or the behind energy, the Fey realm, the however you want to think of it, but just the intelligence, that second dimensional field where where there's all this wisdom and all this. It's like where we connect to when we connect to nature, we connect to that realm if we go deep enough, and there's a relationship that happens. So I was walking through there, and I was starting to feel this energy. I was starting to feel this awareness. Like I was really appreciating the beauty. It starts with appreciation, right? Through the senses, appreciating the beauty, taking photos. I love to take photos, like I mentioned in that one reading, and just kind of capturing special spots and capturing special energy and seeing what comes through in the photos and sharing and this and that. Okay, but it's almost like that appreciation opens up this portal where you start appreciating something in the environment, and the realm opens up. And so I had this moment, and I think it's because the energy is heightened there, or it's yeah, there's just a lot of it, or it's strong, or it's really potent or something. But it was the perfect place to feel this. And I felt it before, but again, that 360 viewing where it's not just the unveiling of what needs to go, it's also the unveiling of what's opening up when things go, when we get all the things out of the way that we're just conditioning or just blocking us. And so I became aware of something behind, but then I became aware of the behind becoming aware that I was becoming aware of it. And then it reminded me, because I had a really strong, a lot of us have that one, that one connection with another person, kind of that counterpart kind of connection where you feel home with them, you feel yourself, you feel your larger self with this person. And usually those relationships are just an activation, just a catalyst to remind you of your wholeness, to remind you of your own inner divine masculine energy if you're female, or divine feminine energy if you're masculine, and where you feel that union within yourself, and then usually they leave or you leave, and then you have all that longing, but it reactivates and shows you. It teaches you how to be that missing piece for yourself, right? And so, but in those relationships, we often have a lot of telepathy and a lot of psychic and astral stuff. And so with this person, I would think of him, or he would come into my field, and I could tell when I was thinking of him and conjuring him, and when he was thinking of me and conjuring me, and when we would become aware of each other at the same time, So, but it was like that with nature. It was that same telepathic thing where it's like me and the elementals were becoming aware of each other, and I could feel how when humans, awakened humans in a physical form are connecting with and become, especially when we can do it unconsciously, and it's still beautiful and wonderful, and it still feeds us. But there's something about doing it consciously when you're aware of that moment where you connect with them and you realize that you are connecting with the elemental realm and with the behind in nature, and then they become aware of you and how important. That's my whole point, how important that relationship is, and especially at this time, because the elementals are connected to the volcanoes, they're connected to the hurricanes, they're connected to the tornadoes, and so it's like we're all shaking off that which needs to go. We're all shaking off that which isn't relevant. For us, we're doing it through our emotional body, and nature, who is our mirror, right? There's a mirroring going on, is doing it through her emotional body as well, but it's coming about, instead of like anger, it's a volcano, or tears, it's a hurricane. And so there's this shedding going on. And so I keep getting the message of how really, really important it is for us to become aware of that behind, that deeper behind connection. And again, the portal is through appreciation and through admiring it, the beauty, whether it's the colors or the form or the light or the sparkles, but it becomes a portal, and to be aware that we're connecting with something behind in that moment. But what we're connecting with is a mirror of ourselves, because the elementals and the minerals and everything that makes up that earth realm is also in us, in our bodies, in our tears, in our electrical impulses in our brain and in our heart. It's like we have a mirror to all of it, and so we're connecting with ourselves. We're a fractal of that. But it feels really important right now to help stabilize ourselves, but also to stabilize the earth energies, because there is so much activity. We just had a really huge earthquake, in Thailand and Burma and that area, that I think this morning. Maybe before that X flare. I think it was before that X flare. Maybe it was last night. But anyway, very recently, of course, we're having all the tornadoes and all the rains and the fires and everything. And so I didn't even realize this until I started talking. I'm getting the full picture as I'm talking. I just knew it was really, really important to connect in that behind way, and to become conscious of the fact that we're doing that. because when we're conscious of it, we develop a relationship. But this realm, our connection to the other thing is that what I learned from Barbara Ann Clow, that book that I'm reading about the 9 dimensions, is that they're very small chapters and there's not a lot of information. It's not the type of book that you really read to learn. It's that, like, externally, I don't like to read books like that. I like to read books that you read to have activations and realizations within yourself. And so there's another book that was gifted to me, and I forget what it's called. I should have brought it over here, but it's about the she. It's about the it's called SIDHE, and the glyph. I have something else with the glyph. I don't have that here either. But anyway, it's all about the elemental realm, but it's all about the second dimension. So I happen to have these two books at the same time that are talking about that, what I didn't even know was the second dimension, which is that elemental realm and the intelligence of the earth, the harmonics of the earth, which would include the pyramids and the ley lines and everything that intelligence and the intelligence and the wisdom of that realm that is always around, but we've gotten disconnected from it. We've gotten disconnected, and we've started using nature as, just for our own means, which of course we all know, and there's surface level understanding of that, but to truly connect in a relational way where we're realizing the importance of that connection. So the whole mythology around the Fae, and the Fae that were driven underground, and of course there's things are interpreted or explained in a way that our human minds can understand, and so the fairies are, I don't know, do they really look like that? I don't know. Are they actually, personify them? Are they personified? I don't know. But what I am knowing is that there is an intelligence there that wants to be acknowledged, and that's working with us all the time and can work with us more if we acknowledge them, and things can come into balance within our own bodies, being a fractal of the earth, coming into balance within the earth. So a lot of people I'm talking to are being called into nature, even people that don't, like, it's never even occurred to them before. Like, my daughter was always just sort of, she wasn't really, she was when she was younger, but she kind of got disconnected. But now all she wants to do is be in nature, and she's having communications with it, and she's aware that she's realizing these things within herself too, without even me sharing them with her, that when she connects with nature, it's helping nature. And just as nature is helping her, nature, but it's that realm I almost said telepathic realm. It is the telepathic realm. It is a telepathic realm, but with that second dimensional frequency. So if you've been listening to these videos, you would have heard me before. You would have heard me mention just in the last 2 or 3 about the dream that I had, where I was going up through these floors I had to go to the 10th floor, and I was trying to get up, and it was really hard to get up. I think that was my cat. I had my door wide open. So anyway, trying to get up into this 10th level, and it was really hard to get up. And then I was guided to go back down to the second level, because that's where there was easier access. Okay, so after that, I started learning about the second dimension, and realizing that I have always done this. I've always been connected to the behind in nature, but I didn't really realize it. So this has been coming through. This is part of the realization. It's the positive aspect of the realization of this eclipse season for me. There's the things that are leaving, and then the things that are coming in. So there's realizations on both ends. So paying attention to what's coming in that wants your attention, that's guiding you of how to step forward on the new path, and what's asking you to let go of it, to release. But paying attention to both coming in on the same time. But just sharing my experience, because like I said before, and somebody validated this for me in the gene keys. That part of my gene keys is that I'm tuned into the collective energy, and then I was supposed to be speaking about it, where I was like, oh, it's so great when we do what we're supposed to do, and we just like naturally fall into, and of course we do if we're not in our own way, if we're not in our own way, but we're doing things our own way, right? Then we end up naturally falling into what we're here to do. So anyway, I've always kind of had that connection with the Fae and with the elemental, but become, so I'm sharing this because it's relevant, it's collective, it's relevant for all of us, and so that's just part of how it works for me. But anyway, the importance, so I'm noticing that in a lot of people being called into nature, even if they're not normally, and then the importance of that, but just taking it a step further and knowing that when you're in there, when you are appreciating, and you start to feel that like feeling that just like fills you and you feel so good. It's not just like, oh, nature's, balancing your chakras, which it does. It balances you, it clears you. It's like you don't even need to do energy work if you go into nature enough, because it's constantly clearing you. And my daughter had an experience yesterday where she was releasing something, and she felt to put it into the earth, and then she was like, oh gosh, and I've gone through this before myself, when I was doing a lot of purging on the earth, and then like, is it okay, and the earth told her basically like, yes, this is what I do. I know how to compost. I know how to do this. Give it to me. This is how it works. This is what you're supposed to do. So we naturally go out into nature and we process, and we might even not know that we're processing. And then we come home and we feel better. But what's happening is we're releasing the energetics of those emotions and those thought forms, and the earth is taking them. Give them to me. Let me compost them. It's a symbiotic relationship. And when we become aware of that, and we have that gratitude, and we have that relation, then it exponentially helps. It amplifies the whole dynamic, because awareness and appreciation magnifies. Like if you have a friend or a lover or a child or an animal, and you tell them how beautiful and wonderful they are, they shine more. It's how it works, and that works on every level, even with our stones, when we connect with them and we admire them, and then they start to talk with us, and we tune in with them, and we understand what their vibration is and what they're here for. But it all starts with appreciation. It starts with admiration and appreciation, and relation. So anyway, that was a huge tangent. How long did I talk for? 16 minutes. Okay, so I am going to pull an overall energy, and just move into the cards now. That's so crazy. Wow, I have used this deck many times. This is a deck I always start with, my Animal Oracle, since that last reading, for myself, for others, private readings down at Mystic, 4 or 5 times, however long it's been. We get the same exact card we got for the last eclipse, Whale Spirit, Trust in the Mystery. So again, really huge things happening with these eclipses, with this time, with everything that's going on. Neptune moving into Aries, Venus, which is also in Aries, which is becoming a North Star the day after Neptune moves into Aries. So just a really huge time. We talked about that last time too. All the astrologers and all the psychics and all the prophecies, talking about this month being the most important and most dramatic changes in this year, and starting something really different. So just reiterating again how huge of a change that is. So it's interesting, because my daughter and I, we went to the store the other day, and we saw the candles, the like candles that you burn. They burn for a week, and we sometimes we get them, and we burn them if we're just having some intention. And I was like, should we get one of those? Because we walked past them, and she was like, yes, and we didn't even think about the fact that it was during the eclipse. And so we both picked ours, and we realized that mine was all about letting go. I don't know if you can see this. Oh, it's hot. It's hot. Oh, fuck. I can't pick that up. Never mind. It's been burning for several days, but mine is like this like, anyway, the image on it is of like letting go, like something dying off. So mine's all about dying off and letting go, and hers is all about like welcoming in. It's like a goddess energy, like holding a baby, and there are like all these things, it's all about birth and what's coming in, and we just separately picked them, and then we put them in different spots in the house, and we just kind of do our own thing, but we both put them in the same spot, and we both separately thought, and then later said to each other, we felt like they needed to go together. And then we looked at each other, and we were like, oh my God, yours is about letting go, and yours is about welcoming in. So that's like the theme right now, like big letting go and big allowing, and it's like you can't receive unless you let go. And so I've had a couple sessions, and I have a new theme coming up in sessions. So I see patterns of distortion, patterns of blockaging, patterns of, just being out of alignment. And every once in a while, there will be a new one that comes in, and every single person that comes in has the same one. And it's like, okay, this is something that we're all collectively working on, because it's consistent, right? So in both of the latest sessions, there's been about the right arm, so the arm, I've seen it before in sessions, a few times. It's not something that comes up a whole lot. There are certain things like, the empath spot is back here, where people kind of leak and take things in and stuff like that. That one comes up a lot, and there's a lot with the like crown chakra clearing. That was the last new pattern, but this one is about the arm. So the arm always represents to me, especially the right arm, the grasping and the letting go. The grasping and the letting go, and that's what we're working on right now. We're not going to grasp at what's coming in, because we can trust that it's coming, and we're not going to claw at what's leaving, because we can trust that it's leaving. So a lot about surrender. So that's the message of this card. Trust in the great mystery. Trust in what's leaving is leaving for a reason, and trust in that what is coming for you is coming. and allowing a friend of mine on Facebook. I've just met like so many wonderful people all around the world, and we've had like some really deep powwows and shared some really deep, some people regularly, and some people just a few times or even just once, but just that collaboration and the synchronicity. And so this is a woman that I've worked with several times, and I just know her. You know, it's like this soul family coming together and working on these pieces when you feel called to, and noticing the synchronicities and going a little deeper. But she was sharing something, and I happened to see the comment on a post, and then I responded to her, and we had a little bit of a dialogue. But she was just so beautifully describing, and she had so much synchronicity around. I've talked about her before, actually, around the surrendering and this eclipse. Oh, it's a dog. This eclipse in particular, you know, being connected. I forget what it was. It was Neptune's wife. It was the asteroid that has the same name as Neptune's wife in not Greek. It begins with an S. Oh, Silesia, is that what it is? Anyway, this it's not really an asteroid. It's like near Neptune. It's like a rock or something. Anyway, it's connected to this eclipse. But the way she was describing it, the way she was talking about, and you could feel the transmission in it because she was so integrated with what she was sharing. But she was talking about just allowing the like oceanic waters to just move her to wherever she needed to go. And that was such the energy that I was feeling. It's like as we're releasing all these things and having all this clarity and just letting everything go, we can have a bit of you know, almost like nihilism, where we're like, well, everything I thought had meaning doesn't have meaning, and everything that I was doing was tied up in some kind of, you know, to whatever degree we're feeling that, you know, but it can get that extreme, right? But just knowing that, you know, on the other side of all that's releasing, I'm really tonal, and it's like I'm listening to my channel, and there's this like little yappy dog that keeps barking, and it's driving me nuts. So yeah, so I'm just gonna say that out loud, and then maybe I can move on. That's what happened with the ant last time. I was like, oh my God, there's an ant flying around, and then as soon as I said it, it stopped. So anyway, let's see. So anyway, but just knowing that, you know, because it can be like what's leaving, or all the realizations that we're having can take the viewfinder, but knowing that on the other side of, yeah, the dog stopped, on the other side of it, there's all this stuff coming in, just like Airmani's candle sitting right here, what's leaving and what's coming, in the prayer for both. And so it's like, and that's the other thing, some of us talking about that soul family again. I've really been feeling that those of us that came in, because of course we're all soul family, all of humanity, but we kind of came in pods, you know, a group of us working on a certain piece and having similar themes, whether it's like empath narcissist, or, you know, like having extreme dark light integration, or really holding the light, or whatever piece, or having a scatter of all of that within your soul family, but different groups working on different things and holding different places. And what I'm really feeling is that message again and again around the soul family, really being kind of like in that one mind telepathic space where we're just doing some really powerful work right now. And whatever piece we're holding, it's like we're really like, if you're holding this piece, you're really helping this one over here, and this one holding this piece is maybe not be directly helping you, but they're helping this one, which is helping this one, which is, you know, it's just this like jigsaw puzzle, and we're all playing our part, and it's so important. And really feeling the unity in that, and again the big move that we're making, and trusting the parts that we're playing. I kind of lost my train of thought. It might come back to me, so I'm going to move on and pull a couple more cards. Yeah, and again, this is a 65 number, which I would collapse into an 11 and leave it at an 11, which is a portal number where we're walking into something new. We're walking into the new. And so again, not holding on to what's leaving, and not grasping at what's coming, and trusting that it's coming in. And that's what solar eclipses are. That's what they are. They're about the new coming in. And so I've been feeling this kind of like leaving energy, you know, and like I was saying, taking up the viewfinder, but also kind of feeling, well, I know there's something coming in. I can feel positivity. I can see, you know, am I seeing any of the new yet? Maybe not. There might just be whispers of it, but you know when something's leaving, that something new is coming to take its place. But yeah, that being what solar eclipses are about, is the new. And then of course Neptune moving into Aries. is a very new energy as well because it's been a long time since it's changed signs. So that's going to feel really, really different. And we're going to feel that. So, okay, wow. We get the Emperor and the Two of Wands. So the Emperor being a card of power and sovereignty, especially in this deck. It's solar energy. It's the Lion. It's Leo. It's leadership. But it's sovereignty. It's being in your power. The Two of Wands being a card of desires, and the desire that comes from your gut. It's like a primal, instinctual yes. Like you don't have to think about it. You don't like sit. It's not like a watery sign where you're kind of in your liminal space and you're feeling into it and you're dreaming about what you want. It feels really good and it's real mermaid. Maybe this is like a spark where you're like, yes, I want that. And often you don't know until it's right in front of you. Like maybe you see a sign for some event or something and you just know you have to go, or you just, it comes out of nowhere. You're like, I need that. And then you take action. So it's a very action oriented card as well, which is very Aries. This is also, it's Leo, which is a fire sign. It equates to Leo. So a lot of fiery energy, that activation, that moving forward energy. So I'm feeling that this is talking about this eclipse that we're coming into in the weeks after. As we acclimate to that, we're moving more into this sort of like empowered action energy where we're in alignment with ourselves. We've done that work and we're feeling good, and we're knowing what we want and what we need to take action on. Let's see what else. Okay, so, oh, wow, the High Priestess. So we have 2 major arcanas, 2 out of 3 major arcanas already here. Oh, wow, and Temperance. Oh, that's so crazy because I got both of these cards this morning when I pulled some cards for myself. The High Priestess and Temperance. Yeah, that's really interesting because what I was feeling from my cards this morning, actually, I realized I had just been talking about with the soul family and all of us coming together, because this is a card, and especially in the card that I got, and I'll show these. I'll put these in the comments. If you're on Facebook, I can't do that in YouTube. I don't know how to do that on YouTube. I don't think you can. If you do want to follow me on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, my name is actually Wendy. It's Wendy Biondo, Biondo. Yeah, and so I'll post the images because somebody told me they really like to look at them, so I've been doing that. So there's the High Priestess. In this deck, it's different, than the other deck that I have. She's kind of sitting here and she has this channel and she's like tuning in, and you really get the energy of the High Priestess in that card because it's like, that's what it is. You're tuned in higher, you're tuned in higher. You're tuned into that place where everything is actually woven together. The Temperance is a card of integration, and there's that beautiful stag in the background there, where there's just this sense of rightness, there's this sense of purity, this sense of this is how it's supposed to be, because the fragmentation and the separation is an illusion, and the High Priestess knows that. She knows that in the traditional deck, there's a white pillar and a black pillar, and she's standing in between them. She knows that you need the light and the dark to be integrated. You have to have everything together to be in that space of integration, and that's when you can see clearly. That's when you have your channel where the waters can flow and where you can be in touch with your purity and where you have your creational abilities because you've unified. And so there was something about these cards that came through in my personal reading this morning. I just pulled a few cards, but it really spoke to me about that soul family and how we're and again, she's reading the book of her Akash. So in this deck there is a little bit of like what we're doing right now is written, and she remembers that it's written. So she doesn't victimize anything. She doesn't look at anything and think, oh, that's wrong and that shouldn't be, the opposite of this, that separation where you separate things out. She brings it all in. Yes, you're supposed to be here. Yes, that's what we were talking about last time. Thank you, perpetrator. Thank you, guide that comes in the dreams. Thank you for giving me that hug. I needed that. And thank you, confusion. And thank you, anger. And thank you, nihilism. And thank you, all of it. And that's, she knows that. She knows that all those pieces are written in this book because this is the book of life. And this is the world of polarity. And everything belongs here. And the separation and the fragmentation and the us and them is part of the program that keeps us away from our divinity. If we're in separation, we don't have our clear channel like she came through in that other deck that I was talking about where she had it, and she had her moon here on the top of her head. She had her moon. She's the High Priestess. She remembers. She holds that memory. She holds that vision. We hold that vision within ourselves because we've all come in with amnesia, but there's some part of us that remembers, and we're tuning ourselves back into that, and we do it in collaboration with our soul family, in collaboration with the others that bring that synchronicity right when we need it, and we bring it for them, and knowing that we're all working on this together. It's written that we would be working on this together, and holding that that knowing of unity, of unification, because that's what's happening right now. The unification is happening, and things are coming. The pieces are coming back together. Okay, so let me pull some more here. Okay. Oh, interesting. So the Nine of Swords. So the Nine of Swords is a card of anxiety and nightmare. But what's interesting is it's not real. You know, it's kind of like a habit. You have a habit of feeling afraid. You have trauma. You have hypervigilance. You have, you know, just survival habit, right? And what's interesting about this card is she's crouched behind this tree, and it's almost like she's stuck and she can't move. But above her is the owl. So there's that high priestess imagery again, where she does know, she is being guided and reminded that she's safe. So there it is again with the trust, the trusting that, you know, even if you're walking through some of your nightmares, in the letting go, in the letting go, in the process of coming back into this harmonization, and remember that you have a soul family with you, whether it's guides in your dream space or just in the astral realm. Like one of the sessions that I had, the message came through so strongly for him to I saw this angel, and she was so present and so clear as day. I felt like I could have like reached out and like touched her, and the message was just like, don't forget that we're here and that you can ask and that you need to ask, because we want to help you and we can help you, but it's planet of free will, so you need to ask, even if it's, you know, whatever it is, like, you know, help me through this, or help me to see what I need to see, or hear what I need to hear, or clear what I need to clear, you know, show me my dreams, or give me a synchronicity, or, you know, and then pay attention. And but just that you know, and again, the white stag, and, you know, that kind of energy being there for you, the guided energy being there for you. But if you are going through these kind of like nightmares and letting things go, and you're not necessarily in touch with your owl, just remembering it's again that message of like things are leaving, and we might be really focused on that, but knowing that things are coming in as well, and those things are connected to the us that's underneath all the things that are leaving. Our identity might be caught up in some of this stuff, and so it might be kicking up some anxiety where it's like, well, what's left underneath this? Like nothing. And it's like, no, there's more coming, and it's coming soon. I mean, literally, this eclipse is tonight. It's tomorrow morning. You know, it's the middle of the night while we're sleeping. So I will probably post this tomorrow. So we're in the energy now of the new. You know, so this kind of stuff, just kind of comforting yourself. And so she feels like she's trapped here, but all she has to do is like stand up and kind of like, she's not trapped here. This isn't a briar bush. You know, it's just she can walk right around it. She can walk right around it, and her owl is guiding her. It's just, so we're in that like last step. And also the nines are like almost there. You know, you're almost done with the completion. That's where we're at in this moment right here. It's like we're wrapping things up. And some of the patterns that I've been working on dismantling for a really long time, but my sort of like last trial, my last initiation with them started in November and wrapped up towards the end of January. And then I've been working with it, you know, since then, and having more and more realizations. But since I've come into the eclipse season, it's come the whole way through. It's come the whole way through where I just know that I'm done with it. I know that I'm done with this pattern, and I know that I'm starting onto a completely different path, you know. So this is that old energy. This is that pattern that you're letting go of, and you might not be completely clear yet, but you can trust that you are going to be clear. You have the owl. The owl is, you see clearly now, you know. It's like written. It's written in the book, and your higher self knows what it's doing. This was meant to happen at this time. This is, remember, the like most important month in 2025 in all of our lives, you know, where everything is changing. And that's true for you too, you know, that harmonization, that unification. So whatever characters have been in your life recently, or in your life now, or even in the past, we were talking about this last time, you know, they're part of your script, they're part of your cast, you know, they're doing this with you for you to unravel what you've might have been tangled up in for eons, from the very beginning, from Atlantean times, from the Lyran Wars, from the, you know, the Orion conflict, you know, all the galactic battles, the galactic Akash, you know, the Earth Akash, the whatever it was that fractured and fragmented you. Again, the opposite of this, that put us into the fall, put us into amnesia, is unifying now. So a lot of us have been working on that behind the scenes throughout our lifetimes and throughout our life, but more and more consciously, and especially recently, really consciously, I have been being shown. I had been being shown the timelines, and I know a lot of others too, like those people, your soul family that you connect with, and you're like, oh my God, they're doing the same thing at the same time, and you realize this is a collective movement. We're unifying these timelines. We're bringing them back in. But we've been hunted by them. We've been hunted on them, on those timelines. We were destroyed by them. But again, that was just where we were at in the polarity game. We were in the dark ages. We were on the decline, so we had to play that end of the spectrum. It's like pulling back the arrow. If we want to go up here, which is where we're going now, we have to go the whole way back. We have to go the whole way back into darkness. And maybe not all of us. Remember, your soul family. Some people are doing the wide stretches, and some people are holding steady, and we're all playing our different piece. But you can see that polarity. You can see the extremes, in this realm, because polarities go the whole way over here. They go the whole way over here, and they also go here, and they're shown everywhere. And some of the polarities are like this, and some are like this, where it's just like masculine and feminine. There's a nice polarity, rather than like love and fear. The more extreme ones that seem combative and create an illusion of battle. But again, it's all working together. And so, but anyway, now we're coming into that harmonization again, where we can see that everything is in service. And so those traumas that happened when it was really dark, and all we could see was the dark, that's just where we were in. And we've all been through those timelines, so we have really deep traumas from again, our galactic Akash, or our Earth Akash, or wherever our lineage, wherever it plays out, things that we don't quite remember, but those things are still churning in us. And all the little ways, all the little things that we've done to survive that before we could get to the point where we could be really conscious. And it doesn't have to be like linear conscious, where we're and I've talked about this before too, where we're like, okay, I'm at the helm here and I know how to do this, and here it all is, here's the instruction manual. But at least, like, wow, I have that. You're having like snippets, or you're having dreams, or you're having synchronicities with people, and you're putting the pieces together enough to know that behind the scenes things are moving, and that unification is happening, and it's happening within others as well. It's kind of like a more feminine way of like when we say being conscious of, we don't necessarily mean linear in that sort of solar masculine energy, but it is an awareness and a consciousness, and you can feel and tell that things are going on. And so we're unifying this. We're unifying the traumas that we carry in ourselves. We're being purified. Again, this is really coming through as an energy of purification. Okay, so this deck is calling to me, so let me pull one from here. What do we have? The Dreamer. Oh wow. And that's a number 2 card. So again, there's that collaboration card as well, indicating, and this came up in the last reading too, those collaborations, and also the collaboration with the earth, with Gaia, I was talking about in the beginning, where we are dreaming this dream with others. Again, we came in, our higher selves, our high priestess aspect, which we all have, has the book, has the script, knows the characters, knows the timing, knows what page, the shift happens. Tomorrow, today, whenever you're watching this, March 29th, this eclipse is one of those pages. It's one of those node points where things are happening. It's part of the dream. We're all dreaming it together. We're dreaming it with the earth. We hold those stars. We're working from the stars. We are stars. We came down from the stars. Again, the collaboration. We're all doing this together. Unification. We're bringing all the pieces back home. Okay. So that's really beautiful. Let me pull one of these. Where are we at here? 37 minutes. Okay. I might start wrapping up. This up. A lot about the collaboration energy. We also have the 2 here with the 2 of Wands. So that spark of desire. Let's see what we get here. Oh, faith. So another message of trust and faith. Because again, a lot of this is falling away, and when it falls away, depending on kind of where you're at with yourself and your journey, it can create a lot of anxiety and nightmare. But again, just trusting and having faith, and also empathy. So having empathy for yourself and others, because a lot of people, when we're clearing at this level, it can be pretty intense. So just having a lot of compassion and forgiveness and leeway, giving people a lot of leeway right now. And again, that's where we can kind of run to nature, because nature will hold us. And then also, knowing that it's kind of that divine setup, like when things get really crunchy. And, like for me, I would kind of wake up in the morning and be like, oh gosh, and because we had a lot of really strong solar winds because of that, like the largest coronal hole that some people said they had ever seen. I don't know, I haven't been tracking it for long. I've only been aware of the solar weather for about 3 years because I started being activated by it and thought I was dying, and then realized that's what it was, and so that's when I started following. But anyway, people that have followed it for a long time said this coronal hole was the largest they had ever seen. So we had a lot of really strong solar winds, like a spike up into a thousand, up to 1,000. So when I first started feeling the solar winds, when I was first feeling everything in my body real viscerally, whenever the solar winds would get over 500, I would feel like I couldn't breathe. I felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. Like I felt pressure on my chest. And I was like short of breath and I couldn't breathe. And I just felt this like pressure cooker feeling. And I still will feel that pressure cooker feeling with the winds, but I mean, it's like I felt like I was going to literally die if it got above 500, and now it's spiking to 1,000. So our bodies are acclimating. We're acclimating to these energies, and our biology is changing. For those of us that are sensitive and feel it, it's very obvious that our bodies are affected. You might have the heart, the really fast heartbeats, or I had this 3 years ago, and it was really scary. And I think there's another round of people that are experiencing this through the body, these ascension symptoms. But the body does acclimate. So if you are going through that, just know that it does. And also know that going into nature really helps. It helps ground, but it also helps you connect, because the earth is rising, and it doesn't have resistance like we do. It doesn't have, it does have traumas. It does. And there are things that it's clearing, and it's clearing through the ways that it does, like we were talking about the volcanoes and the hurricanes and stuff like that. But it also doesn't have as much like human ego and identity and stuff like that. So it just has less, so it can flow. So you can find that balance with nature. So it is kind of that perfect setup. And I felt this, I just remember this. I felt this, it was like 2 or 3 years ago when I finally figured out, oh my God, I feel so much better if I go into nature and I just spend all day in nature. Then my body settles down, and I realized that I guess I had heard it where it was like the earth was, again, like I had said to my daughter, like we need you too. Like it's like you need us, you need us, this behind to help stabilize your body, but we need you as well. This is a partnership, again, all the twos. It's a shared dream, and so going into nature helps us, and it helps her as well. So and empathy for the earth as well, because the earth is going through a lot, and of course some of what's going on in nature, there's different opinions, and there is some fuckery and some technology that's making things worse, of course. There's a lot of that, and some people are aware of that, and some aren't, and it's all true. But again, and this is what I was starting to say, it's like everything is in service to the light. So it's like so I'm trying to get this out. Let me try to get it out really good. We need the earth right now to stabilize us and ground us, because our bodies are going through this changes, not only emotionally and cellularly for all the things that are leaving, but also through the activation. So we were talking about the solar winds coming in and the X flare, and you might be really affected by the X flares. I used to be as well. That's when my heart stuff started, but now I've acclimated. I just get really ecstatic, but because the X flares help chunk things off. Like the solar winds can create a lot of pressure. The lower C's and M's. I'm going to try to finish my other thought. The lower C's and M's will also kind of churn things up and create, like kind of a pressurized feeling. And when the X flare comes, it chunks things off. So that's what's so beautiful about this time as well, is right before this eclipse, when we're ushering in the new and the desire, and that's which is coming in from our empowerment, from our unification. We're having a lot of help with the solar winds, which also kind of push things away. They create pressure, but they also slough things off. And then same thing with the X flare, where things are leaving just in time for the new to come. So forgot what I was saying. Hold on, I'm gonna get it back. Yes, that cosmic setup where we need the earth right now because it helps stabilize us, but she needs us as well. So it's like already written. It's written in the book that at this time the humans are going to crave the earth right at the time when she needs them, but the awareness of, oh, she needs us as well, and when we appreciate, and again, we go, just to recap, we go through those portals and we connect on that deeper telepathic level, and we start to become aware of it, and it feeds us, it feeds her too. It's stabilizing. It's like the magnetic field, our magnetic field. Our emotions is really affected by the solar energy. Again, the solar energy, Leo, the sun, the solar, the masculine, the sun. We're really affected by that, and it's kicking up this stuff and helping us, along with the eclipses and everything that's going on, the astrology, but also the cosmic energy coming in. It's also affecting the earth, and so we huddle in together. So a lot of us, and this is coming up in 2 readings ago, where a lot of us have done a lot of that sort of like template building, where we were climbing the ladders up to the 10th floor and building that template. We're being called back down to the second floor, to the earth realm, to the telluric realm, the earth, that of the behind, the elementals, the fae, the grids, the ley lines, the harmonics, the natural harmonics behind, and hooking ourselves into that is stabilizing and anchoring these energies that are coming in, stabilizing and anchoring our bodies. We first start to do it because we need to survive. We feel like we're going to literally die or have a nervous breakdown if we don't like get on the earth, and so if you are struggling, get on the earth, get in the earth as much as you can, and know that the more you can appreciate the beauty, the more that portal will open up for you, and that relationship will be built, you'll be contributing to anchoring this higher energy, to anchoring yourself, to stabilizing as your light body activates, and the earth as well, and moving forward into this new. So that's really interesting. But yeah, having a lot of empathy and compassion for people, because it is a tricky time. But again, that perfect divine setup where it's like the cogs of the wheel. We suffer, we go to nature, but nature needs us at this time. That collaboration, that relationship is really important at this time. So we're getting crunched, and we're being driven into nature, and it's perfect. So again, that and more to open up in that way. So if we think back on the mythology of the Fae race, and how they were driven out, and people stopped believing in them and caring for them, and making space for them, and there was this huge separation. It's a whether it's real, it's definitely a story that represents something real, where there is a separation, just like there is a separation from our higher self and our higher aspect. That same higher aspect and higher self is reflected lower as well, in the earth, and in the elementals that represent our physical, and coming back into that remembrance at this time. And it's interesting because those 2 books that came to me were really guided. One I was really guided to get, and another a friend of mine gave me, and I knew there was so much resonance where I knew it was for me. Like I couldn't wait to get into it, And so again, that message being really important right now, if that's resonating for you, and just kind of leaning into that behind realm, and seeing what else might open up for you. Also, if you feel guided, I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post a photo of the glyph of the she. If just staring at it will open things up for you. If you literally just print it out and stare at it, like I have it above my bed, and I was just kind of like, kind of like an affirmation. You say an affirmation, and you don't really, because some of the affirmations that I've said over the years, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that means, but I just would feel to say it. So I'd say it, and I'd say it like every day for 3 years, and then finally it would be like, oh my god, like I know what that means. It like attunes you, and then it opens up. There's like packets of information in it. That's how this glyph is, and it's basically like a spiral. But so if you're on YouTube and you want to see, like, find me on Facebook, Wendy Biondo, and you can find this video, and you'll see the glyph. But anyway, just staring at will open things up for you, and it feels really important at this time. I'll also post the name of the book, because I was going to bring it here in case I felt to talk about that. If you feel guided, if this is speaking to you, because I think there is at least a group of us that are being called to connect in that way, and that book was really helpful for me. It's another one where it's not like information where you're like learning in a left brain way, but as you read it, you'll feel things activating in you, and your memories will start to come back online. And that's what happens with the glyph as well. Just staring at it, it connects with a part of you that already knows it. And then it's the same thing with nature. When you stare at it and you put your focus on it, it opens up the dimension in you that already knows it, and then that those pieces of information start fleshing out for you. It's the same thing with the glyph or the symbols, or reading about it, reading the energy of that realm, that telluric, that second dimensional realm. Reading the energy of it activates codes for you. Being in nature activates codes for you. The glyph activates codes for you. So it's just different way to heighten that relationship, and it does feel really important right now. And I think a lot of us are getting messages from the earth and different things, and we might all have a different mission or a different like, oh, I need to go to this mine, or I need to work with this crystal, or I need to read this book, and and not all of it is relevant for all of us, but just kind of sharing what we are feeling, and knowing that there is some kind of call to connect with the earth in whatever way you're called to, that connects you into that deeper way. So just sharing what I found has really spoken to me, in case it speaks to you too. So, all right, I think I'm going to end there. That was at 49 minutes. Oh my gosh, thank you so much if you've made it this far. And I hope that some of that was helpful for you as we move through these really intense times. And again, two messages of faith and trust. So it does kind of seem like, this is big energy and big things that we're moving. It might be very intense for some people now, and it might be even more intense coming up. And a lot of that because of the things that are going on the earth as well, affecting a lot of people. So the more of us that can connect with the earth in that behind way, and all the ways that I talked about, the more I'm really feeling guided to understand. I'm really getting the message that it helps stabilize things, because we're anchoring this energy, we're anchoring it, we're helping it to be the dominant, to help with this energy that's moving, and then the creation that's coming. And the only really thing that is talking about the new energy at this point is really holding that unity, holding that vision, holding that higher self with the soul family that we have. And then there's just this little spark of desire. So it's like the desire and the I want are just starting. It's just starting to show up in the reading, but that which is leaving is still there. So I imagine as we move along, there will integrate some of what has happened. There will be more of this new kind of Aries energy, but it is starting to show up in the reading. So starting to come into the energy, but a lot of messages of trust, which indicates it might be a little bit hairy. And again, the energy with the anxiety and the fear in that which is leaving, and the message to kind of have empathy and compassion and all of that. And again, remembering that this is a shared dream that we're all doing together, including with the earth, and also that our empowerment and our higher selves are in the writtenness. Our journeys are written in here, and that we have everything that we need. So, okay, much love to you all, and I will see you next time if I do.